Hello there. Welcome to this UI UX design course. I hope you enjoy the course as you move along with me. Okay, so to do is I have to create the search icon. So to do that, I will be using a plugin in Figma today. I'll be using Iconify, which is a plugin I mostly use for my work. In case you don't have that installed or you don't know how to install that in Figma, I'll take you through. So to do that, right click any place or any space in your Figma, then select plugins. You see a drop down menu. In the drop down, you can just go to browse plugin the community. That's if you don't already have the Iconify plugin installed. In my case, I have it installed, so you can see it in the list of plugins I have installed here. So if you don't have it installed, you just select browse plugins in community and it takes you to the community. You just type Iconify here, Iconify, then search. Click on the search. Then you select plugins up here. So select plugins. It shows you all the plugins under Iconify. So here, if you don't have it installed, you are going to see the install button. Then you just click on it. It's an instant install. If you have it installed, you are going to see something like this installed, as you are seeing on my laptop. Okay, so back to our design. Since I already have Iconify, I right click, go to plugins, and then select Iconify in my plugin list, right? So from here, I just search for the search icon. I search for search. Yeah, I get how it sounds. Okay, so I select an option from the options presented to me. In this case, I'll just click and drag to an empty space on my Figma, then I workspace, and then I close it. So I have this, I'll just drag it here to my frame. Yeah, it's small, so the only thing I'm going to have to do is increase its size so that it becomes visible enough for users to see. Okay, how's it looking? Okay, so my search has a big head compared to the other. It seems smaller. It has a big head. I want it to be a bit similar to what is there, so I'll have to look for another search icon. So back to Iconify, search. Let me see. Let me go to the next page to see my options presented. Okay, I think this is good for me, so I'll select this. Yes. So I just increase the size to 40. Let's see how it looks. Looks good enough. Yeah, looks good enough. Looks close. Then I'll reduce the size, the color opacity or color intensity from 100% to 50%. Yes. I love what I have so far. So the next thing I'm going to have to do is create this shape you see here, right? This shape. I'm going to create it. To do that, I'll select the square tool from the shape tools, and then create a shape here. Make it big enough. Okay, so the height 590 and then the width 630. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round the corners, but now I'm going to do it a bit differently from what we usually know. I'm going to round the corners independently, the four corners independently. So to do that, I go here and I select this independent corners button here. Then it gives me the various input options for the various four corners of the shape I have there on my frame. So yes, the first corner I'm going to give it 100, and the second one I'll give it 50. Then the third one I'll give it 50 as well. Then the final one I'll give it 100. No. So the third one I have to give it 100, and the final one I give it 50. It doesn't look too close as this, so what I'm going to do is, instead of changing the you could choose to continue changing the values here, but for me I'll use these dots that you see here in the squares. I'm going to use these here to round it further so that it looks closer to this. So to do that, in order to not round all the shapes at once, I have to press, in order to not round all the corners at once, I'll have to press Option or Alt on the keyboard, then round. Okay, so I think I'll just have to round it like that. Okay, so round. This looks good enough. 250 looks good enough for me. So I just round this to 250 as well. Yeah, this looks close enough. I'm proud of what I've done. I'll just reduce the width a bit. So I'll reduce the width, yeah. So I'll just make it a square instead of rectangle. So now my width value is the same as my height value. So my width is 590 and my height is 590 as well. So the shape is 590 by 590. So I move it a bit away from the left because you know I have the social media icons I have to put here. So I have to move it a bit away to create space for that. Okay, good. So now I have my shape. The next thing I'm going to do is to fill my shape with images. This time I'm going to use a plugin again. So to do that, I already taught you how to install a plugin. So I'm going to use Unsplash plugin. So I already have it installed. So if you don't have it installed, use the earlier method I taught you on how to install plugins to install Unsplash as well. Okay, so right click, select Unsplash from my plugin to activate it. Okay, so if your internet is fast, it actually loads up faster, but I think I might have a little issue with my connectivity here, so it's taking some time. Well, it just loaded. Okay, so to continue, what I'm going to do is, you see that this looks like a living room, so I'm going to search for living room images. So I just search for a living room. Nice. I have gorgeous and nice beautiful pictures here. I'll just select the first one since that looks good enough for me. So yeah, in order to make sure that your image fills your shape, you have to make sure that the shape is selected before you click on the image to get it downloaded into the shape. I hope that is understood. Okay, so now I have my shape. This looks good enough for me. Okay. Yeah, looks good enough for me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a text here for life's biggest moves. To do that, once again, I find my Text-2, then I click on it, and then I click on my frame and start typing. Life biggest moves. So I have to increase the font a bit, set it to 60, and instead of semi-bold, let me make it bold. Yeah, bold looks good enough. Let me set it to 70 and see how it looks. Okay, bold is a bit too, back to semi-bold. Okay, I like this. So I'll just maintain the semi-bold. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create this with our hearts full text down here. So once again, I'll just duplicate this here so that I don't have to reset the properties, text properties. So you can choose to type or just use a lorem ipsum something. So with our full suit, oh, okay. So I check the spacing between this and this. To do that, you can just select one of the items and then press and hold Alt or Option on your keyboard, and then hover over the next element you want to compare the distance to. So let me move it to make sure it's 40.